million in sales, even though it's Canadian and it is a manufacturer of children's toys and children's furnishings. So if any of you have kids who own an air hog, that is a Spin Master product. If they have a cheap foam fold-out sofa bed with Barbie on it, that is a Spin Master product. Over $300 million a year in sales, and their very first product was something called the Earth Buddy. The Earth Buddy was nothing more than a ball of sawdust wrapped in a woman's stocking, stitched so that it looked like a face. Grass seed was implanted in the top of the sawdust. You added water, it sprouted hair, essentially a chia pet, but a little bit softer. And it went on to sell 3 million units in its first year out on the market at $8 to $10 a unit, and these guys were just like 6 months out of university. Amazing story. The thing is, they never came up with this idea. Ronan Harari's grandmother had found this junky souvenir in Israel and brought it home to him, and they said, "Oh my God, we can sell these." So that was the start of Spin Master Toys. Since then, they have been recognized as being one of the most innovative toy companies in the world. The air hog was their invention, and it really revolutionized that segment of the toy industry. But they're still really, really good at stealing ideas. Many of the ideas that they bring to Canada are successful ideas that haven't made it to Canada from other countries. They actually have a network of kids around the world who will tell them what the hot toy is in Australia or Indonesia or France, and that information gets channeled back to Spin Master. They evaluate those ideas, and then they launch a similar product in Canada. So that kind of thing works really well for them. Of course, if you're stealing great ideas, you need to steal them from, you want to steal them from other companies in your industry because those are proven best practices. You want to adopt those. But if you only stick to your own industry or companies like you can really only play catch up with them. If you really want to come up with amazing ideas that will change the market that you're in, you have to look outside of your market for those ideas. One of the great sources of information for these people is simply business books and business magazines. And another source of great information for these people, great ideas, is trusted advisors. To that end, 50% of Profit 100 and Profit 150 companies have advisory boards. So an advisory board, of course, is a group of people that meets usually on a quarterly basis, and the people on that advisory board don't own any shares in your company like the board of directors does, but they are assembled by you, the chief executive, to help you make decisions about running your business. The best advisory boards have entrepreneurs and successful executives on them. And Greg Clark, who is the founder of College Pro Painter and a columnist in Profit Magazine, he calls them success insurance. If you have an advisory board, you essentially have a form of success insurance. Advisory boards increase the chances that you will make good management decisions, and they dramatically decrease the chances that you will make bad management decisions. The other benefit of advisory boards, of course, is that you surround yourself with really smart people who have lots of contacts. So they're going to refer you to their clientele, their suppliers, their business partners. You can return the favor. And of course, any of those referrals will come with a positive endorsement, because no one's going to sit on your advisory board if they don't believe in your company. Another source of information from successful people are peer advisory groups. You've probably heard of the more popular ones, the Young Entrepreneurs Organization, Young Presidents Organization. Others are listed there. Innovators Alliance is an organization I'm on the board of. It is a peer advisory network for the owners of fast growth companies in Ontario. The way peer advisory groups work is much like a chamber of commerce or a trade association. It brings people together, but these people are other people who signed up to get help. So it's essentially an advisory board, except you don't pick the people you meet with, the group picks them for you. It's a rather interesting concept. The nice thing about it is it requires a lot less of your work than an advisory board would, but of course you have to pay these organizations in order to put you in one of their advisory groups. But the nice thing about that is they're all facilitated, they're all done very professionally. By my calculation, fewer than 1% of all business owners in Canada have peer advisory boards, and yet half of the leaders of Canada's fastest growing companies have a peer advisory boards or work in a peer advisory group. So I think that says something about the power of peer advisory. Secret number 3 is find and keep the best and brightest. Of course, you all know that if you want to achieve success, sustain success, implement the ideas and strategies that you come up with lots of great ideas, you need really good people. Good people, despite all the layoffs we're hearing about, are still difficult to find. So how do Profit 100 companies retain and attract people? 80% of them offer individual performance bonuses. The principle here, of course, is very simple. If you reward extraordinary performance, you're going to get extraordinary performance. 69% practice some degree of open book management. So what companies will do is reveal much of the sensitive financial data that private companies otherwise would not reveal to anyone except investors, most senior executives, their banker, the tax man. When you open your books to your employees, you do a couple of things. Number one, you increase engagement and trust because people now know how your business runs and they know that you trust them with your numbers. And secondly, it helps you create a very direct link between their performance on an individual basis, on a daily basis, and the financial results of your company. And finally, about half of Profit 100 companies do some form of profit sharing. That's probably the most obvious thing on this list. You go, well, why wouldn't you profit share unless you don't want to share your profits? But the interesting thing about profit sharing is that when we did a survey of companies a few years ago, 3 years ago now, we actually discovered a negative correlation between profit sharing and corporate performance. So in other words, the companies that had profit sharing programs actually did worse than the companies that had that didn't have profit sharing programs. And of course that flies in the face of management wisdom. But we have a theory about that, and having spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs who have successful profit sharing programs, I think it's the right theory. Profit sharing is an amazing thing in principle, but in practice, many companies bungle its execution. And how they bungle it is they tell their employees what the target is. At the end of the year, they tell them how much profit was made, and then they give them a check. And in between, people have no idea whether what they're doing on a daily basis is driving profitability in the company. So in order to make profit sharing work, you have to combine it with open book management. Secret number 4 I call be like Advil. You have to relieve someone's pain better than anyone else can. It's a bit of a management cliche, but if you were to look around your local community and look at all the businesses operating there, you would probably have trouble finding many undifferentiated businesses that do something unique or really even better than their competitors. And if you are not differentiated, you can survive, maybe not in an economy like this, but you can really never thrive on a long-term basis. So you need to come up with the products and services and the approaches to customer service, etc., that are different and better from what your competition does, and noticeably better to the customer, of course. And if you want to really find a sweet spot, you want to do this at the intersection of trends. And a great example of this is research in motion. When you think about the BlackBerry, which of course is the product that made Research in Motion the company that it is today, it really leveraged 3 trends that it found crossing over. One was the exponential adoption of email technology. One was the miniaturization of wireless receivers and computers. And the final thing was the, come to me in a second, the growth of the